telling you all show as protesters demand an end to strict COVID measures and lockdown. Moments ago, a Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson said, firing back at criticism from the U.S., I guess our show, saying, quote, the price of freedom in the U.S., 1 million COVID deaths and 140,000 gun deaths per year and more than 100,000 fentanyl deaths in 2021 alone. The American people deserve something far better. Oh, thank you for that. What we want is to protect our people's lives and ensure them a better life by actually locking them in their house and letting them burn alive. Senator Marco Rubio sits on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and joins us now. Senator, did you enjoy that perspective from China?
Well, it's interesting, actually, that comment you just read from the Chinese government sounds a lot like the left-wing talking points we often get hit with here in Washington and across the country in America. But I'm also reminded of the early days of COVID when Trump was in the White House and the media here was going on about how much of a better job China was doing than America was dealing with COVID. But what we're learning is that the people of China are human beings. Human beings don't like to be locked up. They don't like to be told they can't go out, they can't go to work, they can't socialize, they can't go see family members, they can't go to the entertainment and have fun for long periods of time by their government. And in every country in the world where that's been tried, people have rebelled. Even in a totalitarian state like China, we're now seeing that play out. And I think these things are going to continue. And I think the reaction of the Chinese government should be a wake-up call to the world. These people want to be the most powerful country in the world. If they do that to their own people, what will they do to you?
And can they stop this? Can they stop this uprising in 15 separate provinces with people of all ages and wealth brackets? And also keep in mind, too, if you love the Chinese policy, do you also love giving up your 2-year-old and having him ripped away because he or she tests positive, or you do, and you're separated from your family? That's the country. So you look for some support for the protesters who are chanting, give me liberty or give me death in some cases. But here's what John Kirby did say. Listen.
Why is the White House's line that everybody has the right to peacefully protest and not the U.S. thinks it's bad to lock people up in their houses to stop COVID?
We've made it clear, Peter, that a lockdown is not a policy that we're going to support here. Obviously, there are people in China that have concerns about that, and they're protesting that, and we believe they should be able to do that peacefully.
How weak is that?
I think it's very weak, and I think part of it is the self-awareness that there are people in the party of the president, the Democratic Party, who are governors, mayors, people in different parts of the country, who actually wanted people arrested, and in some cases did, who wanted people fined and businesses closed, who had people removed from airplanes, who had all kinds of things that were going on and all kinds of restrictions. Now, nothing compares to what the Chinese are willing to do to someone, so I'm not making that comparison, but I think he's self-aware that he can't go too far in criticizing some of these restrictions, because it wasn't so long ago that in this very country there were governors and mayors and even federal officials who wanted to see very strict enforcement of COVID regulations at a time when, frankly, we had what was in many parts of the country COVID zero type policies. Nothing like China, of course, but basically in the same spirit.
Hey, Senator, you wouldn't know because you're in Florida, but there's a lot of people queuing up to do this all again. Real quick, the other major story, and very few people know more about Central and South America than you, John Kirby weighed in on our inexplicable decision to do business with the communist regime, oppressive regime of Maduro in Venezuela. Listen to what he said.
Earlier this month, he said no more drilling. There is no more drilling.
The president has issued 9,000 permits for drilling on U.S. federal lands, Peter, 9,000 of them being unused. There are plenty of opportunities for oil and gas companies to drill here in the United States.
Really? Is that an explanation?
Yeah, those permits don't, because the problem with the permits is, number one, they're getting sued by activists, so they get tied up in court. Number two is banks won't lend you money. They've told banks to deplatform and not to help these people get loans or capital investment for that drilling and so forth. And the third is you've got a president going around saying he's going to put fossil fuels out of business. So who's going to undertake the expense of drilling?
No one.
They're never going to make the money back. And so that's the part he's not telling. These permits, they get a permit because they qualify, but the permit alone is not what you need for drilling. You actually need to be able to invest money in it, and you have to have a long-term return on it in order to make it happen.
Senator, just tell everybody how evil this Maduro regime is and what they've done to their people and what they plan on spreading throughout South America.
Yeah, 4 to 5 million Venezuelans have had to leave the country in the last 5 years. They torture people in jail. They're anti-American. They host Iranian forces on their soil. They invite the Russians in. I mean, they're the source of harm in this hemisphere, have harmed all of their neighbors as a result of it. And these concessions, Well, these concessions by the Biden administration are all about getting closer to them because it's full of leftists in this White House who want to cut a deal with Maduro.
Yeah.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.